Arweinydd Grŵp UKIP.
Leader of the UKIP group, Neil Hamilton.
All members will have been horrified by the recent nerve agent attack in Salisbury. The general consensus of opinion appears to be that the exchange in the House of Commons yesterday by Jeremy Corbyn and the Prime Minister fell well below the level of events. Chris Leslie, a former Labour Shadow Chancellor, said it wasn't appropriate to make party political points when our country is potentially under attack. Another Labour MP, John Woodcock, said it would put our national security at significant risk if we were led by anyone who didn't understand the gravity of the threat which Russia poses to this nation. Does the First Minister think that Jeremy Corbyn is such a person?
Well, I'm not here to answer for anybody else anymore. I'm sure he's not here to explain how it is that Nigel Farage thinks that a trade deal with the US is possible in 48 hours, which is what he said yesterday. This is a hugely serious matter. We have people who have been badly affected. We have a police officer who was badly affected. Fortunately, it seems on the road to recovery. Of course, there needs to be a full investigation, and the investigating authorities will have the support, I'm sure, of politicians not just in Westminster, but of politicians of all sides here in this chamber.
I noticed that the First Minister sidestepped the question, but Nicola Sturgeon has said cool heads are certainly required, but also a firm response. Russia simply can't be allowed to launch attacks on our streets with impunity. Does the First Minister agree with that?
Of course I agree with that. I mean, I don't know what he's trying here to suggest that in some way I do not accept there has to be a full investigation or do not accept there's any Russian involvement. Of course those factors come into play. But it's hugely important that there is a full investigation. I know that on a non-partisan basis there is support for that both in the House of Commons and indeed I'm sure here in the Assembly. It cannot be right that people are injured or worse as a result of the use of what appears to be a military-grade nerve agent. Whoever was responsible for that needs to be brought to justice.
Well, I thank the First Minister for that very reasonable reply. One thing that I did agree with Jeremy Corbyn on as a result of yesterday's exchange was this. He said there must be a robust dialogue with Russia on all issues dividing our countries, both domestic and international, rather than simply cutting off contact. If that is true of Russia, it is perhaps even more true of our relations with the United States. The United States is our most important ally. And although the Secretary of State has changed in the course of today, Rex Tillerson said recently that we stand in solidarity with our allies in the UK and that what happened in Salisbury was a really egregious act, and he was extremely concerned by Russia becoming more aggressive. There's no reason to believe that the policy of the American administration will change with a new Secretary of State. Does it not, therefore, be incumbent upon all senior Labour politicians to have the closest regard to our interests with the United States and our diplomatic relations with them, and to stop the puerile name-calling of the President and others in his administration with whom they happen to have political disagreements? It's the interest of Britain which should be first and foremost.
Well, I have to say that I do not approve of the methods of the President of the US and the way he communicates. I think it is the office of the presidency of the United States of America is one that should command respect even amongst those who did not vote for the current president, and I'm not sure the current president is in that situation. I am troubled at the fact that Rex Tillerson, as the Secretary of State, was supportive of the UK and was wholly supportive of the Prime Minister's position, and he has been sacked as a result of it. Now, that does trouble me. What does that mean in terms of what support will come from the US government for the position of the UK government in terms of this horrific attack? And there are many questions that are asked as a result of that. I have never taken the view that we should in some way cut off our ties with the US. I was there a fortnight ago and spent time both in the US and in Canada. My view is that we should reach out to all democratic nations and entities, including the European Union, of course an entity which he is less keen to keep ties with.